I think special meeting of council to order at 9:11 on October 12th, and we're going to go to adoption of the agenda to start. Please.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, so we go straight down to the code of conduct report. And just for the record too, Kim, you're on the line as well.
Well, just a quick one, when I just do CAO report, is that just an error? In the adoption of the agenda?
Adoption agenda, yeah.
No, so I see
CAO report.
section 3 CAO report, there is no CAO report?
Nothing.
Okay, so then,
You can hear us okay?
It's breaking up a little bit, but I'll follow, and if I'm losing you, I'll let you know.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thanks for being here tonight, Kim, because this is new territory for, I think, majority of the people at this table. So thank you for helping us through this process. So the code of conduct report.
Point of, I have a question for the chair.
Sure.
Do I at any point have an opportunity to speak? I understand that I'm going to be required to declare conflict based on the advice I've been given. So I'm just wondering if there's opportunity afforded to me for materials that council has not reviewed, or points of interest that may be relevant.
So Kim, are you able to answer that question just to and sort of guide us with the process of how this should work tonight?
Well, I guess from my perspective, I mean, there's two issues here, and one is the conflict of interest provision, and I guess it's pretty uncompromising. You know, if it's something that may affect an individual councillor, then the conflict should be declared, and there should also be, the councillor should be removed from the discussion. Having said that, I mean, there's matters of procedural fairness as well. And so from my perspective, I guess, the question would be, I guess part of what's driving my question here is it strikes me that, with respect to the manner in which the report's been prepared, it's been circulated, it would seem that there didn't appear to be a lot in dispute in terms of the report and that sort of thing, and the recommendations coming forward is relatively straightforward too. So I suppose it's a difficult situation. Clearly, the conflict provisions in the codes of conduct that have been drafted in these and in the act don't appear to allow for matters of procedural concern like what we've got here. I suppose my question is, in general terms, what are the concerns, and then perhaps we can decide which way we want to proceed here. So.
Well, what I'm hearing, my understanding of conflict of interest, it restricts me from voting on a matter that is a material interest or fiduciary interest to me. But I will just, I will declare, and I will leave.
Okay.
I believe there will be a postmortem on this process, the trust.
I think that's for anybody.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Anyone can bring that up anytime.
Yeah. Okay. So, Kim. Now that conflict has been declared, we can speak about the report here, which clearly outline our options and the way we're going to speak about this complaint report that was done by a third party. I need some guidance here because I don't know how much further, I mean, it's in public domain, so I don't know how much more needs to be discussed, other than if we're going to essentially go with option one, which is to, you know, think about sanctions, or we wait, we sort of take a thought, or we receive and file and, take no further action.
Right.
Okay. So, the report that's before us, as well as the integrity commission report, I'm gonna open up the floor to discuss, and kind of decide what we're gonna do.
If I may, on the process that I think would be fair and reasonable is in the complaint report, there's no material facts that we have the right to amend or table or do anything really to. So for me, I think it's fair that we just receive and file the report that we've received from the integrity commissioner regarding the complaint. And at that point, that if I may put forward that we receive and file that and then discuss the secondary options, if there's a need for that.
Is that a
I'll make the motion to receive and file the integrity commissioner's report.
second?
One comment.
Just, let's need a second and then we can talk about it.
I'll do second.
Okay, now we'll open up to comments and questions, go ahead.
I know we have option one and option two. I think there's an option three.
Okay.
Option three being that basically it'd be some like, you know, deferred. It's like when people are sentenced, if there's a deferred, if they happen to reoffend, then that kicks in.
Is that in our policy though? I don't
Uh,
know if it is.
I would say that each individual complaint that anybody would put forward be judged based on its own merit, and of that time that you would see not an ongoing open file for anyone. This isn't a personnel policy. This isn't a, you know, we're the elected officials, and this is a council code of conduct. And when somebody breaches that, they judge it in and of itself. If there's a second offense, no difference in any other cases. If you see that there's a pattern of behavior or whatever the case may be, then you would deal with that individually, I would say.
Kim, what would you advise on that?
Well, from my perspective, I guess, it's generally speaking, what you're dealing with in these is what's happened to date. And so, seems to me you dispose of it on the basis of the report that's before you. Now, I want to talk briefly about you know, the options one and two you got before you. You know, so you make a determination. If for some reason something comes up in future, then you go back and you take a look and you say, well, this has happened in the past, and this is, you know, and on that basis, here's what the determination is. I don't think it's contemplated, and I'm not sure that it would necessarily be sound practice to say, well, you know, essentially, here's what's happened here, but if it should happen again, so on and so forth, because to a certain extent, you're prejudging what's coming before you next time around, and I don't think that's probably a good thing to do. Let's hope that there's not another one, but if there is, then you'll have to deal with that one on its own merits. And I think if you make any mention of any future complaints and any disposition you've got, then to a certain extent, that could be seen as tainting any further investigation or any determination down the road. In other words, you can't fetter your discretion next time around when something like this comes up. Now, and I'd like to come back to options one and two. As I understand it, the recommendation from the investigator is to accept the apology and no further action be taken. If there's a taste for that, then I think, you know, from my perspective, I mean, that brings us to a close. You know, you say, here's where we're at, here's the determination. If there's a taste for council doing more, then I think perhaps in that circumstance, probably the appropriate thing to do, and I just went back and checked a recent case that was done on this, is to go back to the council and say, you know, this was the recommendation, as you're aware, of course, because you've seen the report. council's indicated it may wish to consider something more than the recommendation, and then in that circumstance, then you allow her to make representations about what should happen. You might request that to be done in writing, but I think you got to give her procedurally the opportunity to speak to more than she's already admitted to and more than she's already done. So.
And when would that typically be done? Like, is that?
Well, I think the question is tonight, if you decide that you're prepared to just call it quits on this one and call it a day, then I would just simply make that determination. It's not the tidiest way, it's not what procedure would say, but it brings it to an end, so it just means it's done. And so, you can be criticized for that, I suppose, but why would she criticize you in the circumstances where you're saying, no, we're taking no further action? But if the thought is that you want to reach beyond the recommendation made by the investigator, then I think in that circumstance, you can say, we want to give some consideration to doing more than is recommended here. And so, can you give us your comments in writing, and then I would defer that determination in the next council meeting.
Okay, makes sense.
So if I may, to the, on a, I guess, point of order, right now we have the motion to receive and file. We don't need to have the secondary part of any further sanctions if council deems it necessary, but there's no material fact in here that is being disputed from the report that we've received.
Okay. And that's being disputed by her or by someone else?
There is no, to our knowledge, there's no disputing anything that is in the report that is before council tonight.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, the fact is, at this stage, there being no material fact in dispute, and I'm not sure that even at this stage, unless it was sort of an egregious type of thing, you'd be too worried about that. So really what you're doing then is and I guess as I'm talking about this, I'm being swayed a little bit. I think what I might do in this circumstance then is go to her and say, we've accepted the investigator's report. There doesn't appear to be any material facts in dispute. The question is whether or not to accept the recommendation and leave matters as a whole, or whether there should be some additional sanction. And to give you some fairness and some ability to make representation, we're prepared to receive your written submission by such and such a date. We'll consider it at the next council meeting. That's probably the appropriate way to do it then.
Okay, so I think what we need to do first, and please help me and guide me if I need help on this, because I certainly do. So I think we receive and file, and then, like you said, we talk about the secondary part of that, right? Is that what you were sort of going to? So because there is no dispute to this, unless there is at this table, I think we'll just call the question. So all in favor of receiving and filing the report, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion to receive and receive and file is carried. So now we move on to the secondary part of that, which is essentially the recommendation of what the conclusion of the report states is that the above action, sorry, hold on. So the ultimate determination of what, if any, remedial action be taken against Ms. Bashar lies within council. So what that states is that we can request further sanctions by our code of conduct, correct? Is that fair to say?
Under the remedial action?
Yeah. And so I want to open up the table to that. And with that being said, if we are deciding to do that, then I think in fairness, we then allow Councillor Bashara to, in writing, provide us a report of what she wants to say about it. And then I think that gets tabled to later down the road. Is that kind of what I'm understanding? Deputy Mayor, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts is we've contracted the services of an integrity commissioner to go in and provide written statements and have talked to the people that have all been involved and who the integrity commissioner has deemed necessary to reach out to and talk to, and has provided a pretty comprehensive report to everything that is there. And with the intimate knowledge of talking to each person individually, has come to the conclusion that in their belief, there should not be further remedial action, and that ultimately that does lie with the council's decision to do so. I'm comfortable with the conclusion and the work of the integrity commissioner to put it forward, and then I'd be willing to move that the matter that was that the matter referenced in the October 1st complaint report be considered closed.
Any further,
There's,
sorry, Counselor.
Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry, Counselor Kuzicki.
there's only one part of this recommendation that I disagree with, and that's the last paragraph. You know, I would encourage the town to consider clarifying at all councillors how to navigate their dealing with town employees. There's at no time, whether as a regular citizen of the town or as a councillor, did you have the right to be abusive to staff. This is a respectful workplace, and there's no clarifying that. When you're a counselor all the time. You don't wear two hats. And this is where I think she was a little bit swayed in her summary here, that by what she's heard, that, well, you know, I didn't know how to wear two hats. To me, that's not right. You don't wear two hats, you wear one hat. When you take your oath of office, when we all stood up here and had to read, what did it tell us? We had we had our responsibilities to the community and to the town.
To conduct ourselves.
And the way that's summarized, I do not agree with that.
Okay, and which we're entitled to. I mean, these are recommendations. Go ahead.
And I'd just like to say to that, she has got herself a proxy now, right? I think she's done that appropriately. She did write an apology letter. I do have problems with apology letters. I feel it more sincere when they do it in person. So maybe doing something like that would be appropriate. And just all of us understand, when we come into this office, we stop at the front, we ask for Mr. Brown if he's in, and treat the staff with some respect when we come in, because we're not the boss.
So just reading our code of conduct, and I do respect and appreciate the integrity commissioner's report. Within the code of conduct that we all agreed to, it states, should a member of council breach any of the principles outlined in this code, possible courses of action that are available to council include, but are not limited to, an apology, which has been given, right? Because it says either written or verbal, so check. Educational training on ethical and respectful conduct, repayment of money gifts received, removal of the member from council committees and or bodies, dismissal of a member from a position of a chairperson or of a committee, reprimand. So I understand that we don't have to check off every single item, but I do feel that we may actually all benefit from maybe further training on ethical and respectful conduct. And I would like to put that forward as a motion for those that wish to engage in ethical and respectful conduct as an option.
I'd second it.
That is already my motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you had a motion already?
Oh,
Sorry.
I didn't know that was a motion though.
Yeah.
Was that a forward motion?
It was a
Okay.
motion.
No second.
So
Okay.
I apologize for that. So, sorry, can you reread your motion?
That the motion that I put forward is that the matter referenced in the October 1st, 2021 complaint report from the integrity commissioner be considered closed.
Okay, got a seconder?
I'll second.
Okay, we're gonna call a question on that one.
Okay.
And then I'll come back to you. I apologize. I didn't realize that was a-
Sure.
I would like it recorded.
And I'll withdraw my motion as well, because I didn't realize that that was a motion that you put forward.
So, reword your motion again.
That the matter referenced in the October 1st, 2021 Integrity Commissioner's complaint report be considered closed.
Okay, I'll call the question, and it's gonna be recorded. So Councillor Federici,
I vote in favor of closing.
Councillor Diskey,
Yes, for this matter.
Okay.
okay, I'm in favor as well. Is there any further motions on the table?
No, I'll withdraw that previous motion.
So that pretty much ends the code of conduct in the submission.
As a matter of process,
Mhm.
I'm not sure where council would deem it. If, seeing as we are closing the matter here now, or since with that motion, it's officially a closed matter. If council would find it appropriate to allow a councillor to address us now that the matter is closed, there's no more influencing of a vote of any sort, seeing as the matter is now closed. I don't know what council would feel. I just feel like through this process, there's been sometimes where we've had councillors really want to offer what they've felt in this process, and I think it's fair to the table to see now that this matter is closed, if there's anything that would like to be brought forward that we can work on to fix this bylaw, if there's, or a process, or if there's a feeling for that, or if we would like to have that for another time.
Kim, with that on the table, would you recommend that, or would you recommend it be done in writing? Sort of, I guess, a post-mortem of this process. What is your recommendation?
Well, and again, it's sort of in and out, but what I'm understanding is that in the wake of a determination that nothing further be done, what you do in terms of doing a post-mortem, is that what's on the table?
Yeah, so Deputy Mayor McPhail recommended that Councillor Bashara be able to come in and speak sort of in a postmortem about any more, I guess, facts that need to come to play, or I don't want to put words in your mouth. What were the rest of the things that we sort of
Basically, just give an opportunity for the councillor to address council, as well as anybody that might be tuning into the meeting, wanting to know the results of this. Give her an opportunity to speak to council if she chooses.
Yeah, and I think that's okay, because you don't have a decision item before council at that point.
And if the matter is considered,
So I don't see there's anything wrong with it. And quite honestly, I mean, the thing is this is essentially your first go around through it. Anybody's input and thoughts in terms of what's gone well or what hasn't gone well, while you may agree or disagree with them, they're probably worthwhile hearing and considering, so that it goes more smoothly next time. Let's hope there isn't one, but we learn from what we do, and I think that's there's no issue with that.
Okay, so I just want to put a quick recess on this. I'm gonna go speak to the councillor and see if she wants to do it tonight. And if not, then we will table that, and then we'll put it on the agenda for later. 1 second. So we'll call the meeting back to order again. So after speaking with Councillor Bashara, we're gonna table that opportunity to a later date, so that there's a better opportunity and time to do that. So that being said, we're gonna move on. Kim, thank you for your time. I'll let you go, because we just have one more matter here, which doesn't require your help, but thank you so much.
All right, you take care. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, so we move on to council members roundtable discussion 5.1, which is a discussion for the fire advisory board appointment, which is the position that was previously held by the councillor Watt. So I did send out an email to everyone just to get an idea if there's any nominations or anybody. So this will be the formal process if anyone would like to submit something forward or nominate themselves.
I did verbally communicate, but I didn't put anything back into the email that I would like to put forward Councilor Vetri as a representative for the fire board.
Okay, does anybody else want to come forward or is everyone good with that?
I'm just wondering if after November 30th, we don't know who's gonna come forward and, you know, I'm just wondering, is it pressing that we couldn't wait till see who our new member of council is?
There might be a full shuffle when that comes up, right?
And I think that aren't there a few things on,
The only reason is that there is a vacancy on the fire board, and we do have a meeting between now and the election, so we need to have our seats filled, if you will, for that fire board meeting, so that's why I brought it forward as a issues that I'd like to have a designate from the town and be sitting on that board, and like I said, we can rearrange that at November 30th and see who the next member of council is and what they might just want to take everything that Councilor Watt had and everything just continues on as normal, but there might be some expressed interest in other areas and we can go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
That's the decision.
is that okay with you? We can kind of re-discuss that. 'Cause I mean, I think there's gonna be a few things that we have to go through.
It just is, so you know, I wasn't planning on taking this on
No,
at
I-
the time, knowing that.
I'm just saying, like, you know, because we do have, you know, at the first go around, everybody's
Yeah.
kind of given a
The
fair
plate, yeah.
fair portfolio,
Yeah,
now we
yeah.
take on something new, and then the new guy comes by, and there's nothing
Yeah.
there for him, so maybe I just thought we could just kind of
No,
hold
for
if we
sure.
could.
I think just because there is one meeting in every vote at that table, I think does matter, right?
Yeah.
Actually, so,
Always.
and then we can, I think, definitely rediscuss, because I think there's a few things that we'll have to look at once we get our new member of council for sure. So are there any other nominations at the table? Okay, so since there's no other nominations, we'll just,
I'll make a motion to appoint Brian Vetri then as
okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Do you accept the nomination?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I checked it.
You're being voluntold. Okay, excellent. That concludes there's no in camera, so we're just going to,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you.
Second.
Good.
Oh,